the reason why you're so upset with men, why you think men are scum and bad and wrong and all this stuff is because you're comparing them to what you think is the perfect woman. And compared to the perfect woman, they're lazy and they're dumb and they're whatever, all of these things, and they're obnoxious.
We come from a place of romance and love. We're comparing men to a woman that comes from a place of romance and love. And so when men don't get it, we're like, how do they not get it? This is so obvious. Where men come from a place of more sexual sort of desires. And then men have the same sort of issues with women, right? Because they're like, well, why don't they just get it? Like, this makes so much sense.
Because men want to be the hero. They want to be the knight in shining armor, regardless of what they say. All men want to. They want to step up, but they need to feel like they're needed and that they're appreciated for doing that. And a woman has to swallow some of her pride in order to do that and be vulnerable and say, I need help.
Essentially.
Right. And it's not a bug, it's a feature, right?
Right.
It's a man
like
operates that way on purpose. It helps him to accomplish things, to get things done. If he was diffuse focus, can you imagine if all men were running around with diffuse focus? Then a lot of stuff wouldn't get done that needs to get done.
No, if anything, women need to be a little bit more singular focused, to be honest, because she even mentions in the book that, you know, men will prioritize things that women will be like, why did you go and get a massage? Like, we have all this stuff to do. But men will like go and get a massage
because it needs to
if they feel like that will help him in all the other things that he needs to get done. And women do not come from a place. They will wait till the very last minute.
So they're in desperate mode. Exactly.
Yeah, until they're literally about to have an emotional breakdown, and then they might do it, but then they're still so stressed that it's not actually rejuvenating them.
Yeah.
So like in a lot of ways, women need to kind of operate in the sense that I just mentioned, a little bit more like men, because we do get more frazzled the more things we try to focus on at one time.
Right.
Like, I'm not saying be totally singular focused and you have blinders on, because a lot of things will be left behind.
Yeah.
But maybe not as many branches reaching out in different places and participating in self-care before you get to burnout stage, where like then you're able to pour more into everybody else because you poured into yourself. Like, a lot of people talk about that in regards to women, but I do think that is the key thing, because I feel like until you realize that and you accept that as your truth, you're not going to understand any of the other stuff.
Yeah.
You're going to constantly be wondering, why can't a man act the way that I act?
Right.
And that's not going to happen. Like, that's, and you don't want that to happen.
Right.
And it's just not.
And that's a big theme of the book too, is that I think initially in the book she's talking about to the women that she's mentoring, that the problem, the reason why you're so upset with men, why you think men are scum and bad and wrong and all this stuff, is because you're comparing them to what you think is the perfect woman. And compared to the perfect woman, they're lazy and they're dumb and they're whatever, all of these things, and they're obnoxious. But that's not the standard you should be comparing men to. It should be to the superior men. It should be to a man's standard of what he is, because it's different. It's not the superior version of the woman is not better. That's not women sometimes think, oh well, that it's because this is how the world should work. Yeah, but there's also another perspective of where the man's coming from and the things that he's able to do and provide for, because he views life in a different way.
Right.
And he's performing well as a man. He has a different reward system, different things that motivate him, different things that he's doing. There's a she says also to ask the reason to why is he doing that? And to figure out like there must be some good reason for it. Yeah. Right. Yeah.
And she says to even ask that, right? Like why are you doing it this way? I know there must be a good reason for it. I'm just curious.
Yeah.
Like, coming from a place of curiosity, and our brains do work different. Yeah. And, we can't compare each other in the way, because like you said, I think a lot of women, and I've done this as well too, we're comparing men to women. Like, we want them to be like us.
Yeah.
When that's not actually what we really want.
Exactly.
And we also want him to do romantic things or do things without asking, but that's not realistic either. Like, yes, you should not ask a man to fill your stocking at Christmas.
Right.
He should do that.
Right.
But
if he doesn't,
the more that you tell him, though, that you need like love shown to you
Right.
in those ways, which is still a conversation and still telling him what you need, then you will get those things. So it still needs to be communication.
Right.
It still needs to be talked about. You still need to let him know the things that you need or the ways that make you feel loved or the ways that he helps you. And I think that women use their women brain and expect men to just know. And again, like, because we come from a place of romance and love, we're comparing men to a woman that comes from a place of romance and love. And so when men don't get it, we're like, how do they not get it? This is so obvious. Where men come from a place of more sexual sort of desires. And then men have the same sort of issues with women, right? Because they're like, well, why don't they just get it? Like, this makes so much sense. And so the more that we understand the differences in each other and accept those and work with those things rather than against them and trying to change each other into different things, then the more beneficial the relationship will be and the healthier it'll be and the more in love you'll be and the more you'll appreciate your partner as well too.
Yeah, and the stocking is a great example because even that example, it's better to tell a man, like if he's not doing it, he should, right? I agree. I do. But if he's not doing it, it's better to tell him, not to say, hey, you should fill my stocking at Christmas, because again, that's the wrong approach, but to say, you know, if you put stuff in my stocking, it would make me feel so loved and appreciated. It would make me feel really special, right? Then he's going to do it. It would be better to have that conversation than to go year after year being bitter and angry because expecting...
You're waiting for him to do it.
Right, because he's not, if he hasn't learned it yet. But if you say, you don't have to say, hey, I fill my stocking, like, or it hurts me that you don't fill my stocking. You could say that. I mean, that's an okay, there's no reason why you couldn't have that conversation if you want to, but it would be more productive if you said, you know what would make me feel really loved at Christmas time is if you filled my stocking with some special things as well. That's it. Then
well, and then if you say that and he still doesn't do it, then you have a whole nother set of things to deal with. But that is the better way to be. And I know that it does take some of the magic out of it.
Yeah.
But at the same time,
what's the alternative?
If you realize, the alternative is just being resentful, but then also to realizing that it's not from a place of a lot of times he just is trying to be an asshole. Right. It's that it's not even popping up in his mind. And the more though that you tell him the things that make you feel loved and the things that you need and the things you need help with, the more he should be learning. This is also not an excuse for guys to just wait for a woman to tell everything that like she needs. Like he should also be trying to learn from the things that she's bringing up and being like, this makes me feel loved, or like, I need this from you, or this provides me this. Like he should also be learning and trying to figure out those things on his own. But it is ridiculous to assume that someone's going to read your mind and know all the things that, and maybe he, you know, has learned some of these things before you and you got lucky and that's good, but you're still going to need to talk to him about things that are specific to you guys and the things that you need and, you know, things like that. So yeah, the biggest kind of point was that point because I think that without that, you can't get to the other things that she talks about like, because it all also contradicts a lot of things that you hear today. Like when she talked about asking a man for help.
Right. Oh, yeah.
So many women are like, I don't want to ask a man for help, or he's just going to call me needy. And a lot of men say that, or like, I'm not going to do this for a grown adult, men will say about women. And so like, there are a lot of the opposite perpetuated. Right. And that also makes it hard for women, right? Like reading the part about asking for help. Like, I don't feel that way about you. Right. Yeah. But I know that a lot of women would read that and be like, I don't want to ask for help. Right. Like it's going to be held against me. It's going to, you know, he's going to call me lazy or helpless or whatever. And she does go into like what actually is helpless, which is like needing help with things that like you should be able to do. But those are very like extreme versions.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Because there's a difference between being lazy and asking for help. You know?
Right.
Like lazy is like, I don't even want to think about this, or yeah, I just want you to solve this problem for me.
Right.
Which again, even if that's the case, if you then
do it in the right way.
Yeah. If you're like, I really just want to be able to relax. It would make me feel so good if you could just do this and be my hero or whatever it is.
Right.
Yeah. Hey, I'm all about it now, because now you're giving me an incentive to do it, because I'm going to make you happy, as opposed to you're just dumping something on me because you're lazy.
Right.
Like there's a difference in how it's presented, because maybe you don't feel like doing it. That's fine. But saying it that way, asking for help in that way, you know, in the right way, then it's gonna activate the things that, you know, because men want to be the hero. They want to be the knight in shining armor, regardless of what they say. All men want to. They want to step up, but they need to feel like they're needed and that they're appreciated for doing that. And a woman has to swallow some of her pride in order to do that and be vulnerable and say, I need help, or I like this would make me feel appreciated, or I would love this, or I want this, you know, because then the guy feels like, oh wow, if I do this thing, then like I'm getting to be the hero. I get to be the, you know, so yeah.